Okay, so we were going over some of the answers to one of the tests one of my students did. So this is year 11, half yearly, question 12, and it has basically 3 equations that you have to sketch and state the domain and range. Okay, so you can see they're actually all quite easy. They're all just the basic graphs: y equals mod x, or y equals x squared, or y equals 1 over x, shifted up and down depending on these numbers. Okay, so the first one, you can see this is his answer. When you plus 1 to x, the graph will shift over to the negative, to the left by 1. Okay, and this is what he's drawn here. And that's because, when you put x equals negative 1, it'll give you the 0 that you used to got when x was equal to 0. So here I think he should erase the old one, or make it clear that the old one is not related in any way to the new one, or it's not the new one. Okay, and then what does this y equals 1 mean? It's kind of just random. I think he means to calculate the y-intercept here. Okay, and when you state the domain, so this, I guess, is a natural domain where it's the set of all the most values, or the maximum subset of the real numbers for which this formula makes sense. And so this formula makes sense for all real numbers. So the domain is the set of real numbers. So this notation, x is in the real numbers, is, you can understand what someone would mean by that, but it's not quite a set. Okay, so something like all real numbers, that's a set. That's something that's clearly a domain. Or you could just actually write there's already this notation. It already means a set of real numbers. Okay, the range, so he clearly knows the range is the y values, the actual y values, and the actual y values span from 0, and it continuously goes up forever. So it's all the y, or all real y, or some y such that y is greater than or equal to 0. So another way of saying that is it's a set of all positive y including 0. But the point is the domain and ranges are sets. Okay. So see the absolute value. So this is a bit better because the old graph was erased. So you take the absolute value and you add 2. So you shift it up by 2. And similar issues with the way the domain is stated. There's just really, I guess, kind of minor things that may compound later. Okay, this one, it's actually a bit more tricky, I guess, and then it's very messy. So maybe we'll take care of the easy things first. So the domain is kind of easy. It's all the real numbers except for 1, because 1 would make the denominator 0. Okay, so if you made this into a set, that would be great. And so y, it's a bit more tricky to get y from the way this was written. Okay, but if you look, so if we postpone that and just try to draw the graph. So this graph is meant to be the basic y equals 1 over x hyperbola shifted over by 1 to the right and 3 up. So I believe this asymptote should be labeled at 3. See, he wrote here, see, right 1 up 3, so that's good. So this asymptote should be labeled y equals 3. This asymptote should be labeled x equals 1. Now, is the x-intercept a third, and is the y-intercept a 1? So when you put x equals 0, you get 2 over negative 1, which is negative 2. And so y is 1. Yeah, so that's right. That's the y-intercept. The x-intercept, so when you put y equals 0, okay, negative 3 equals 2 over x minus 1. So 3 minus 3x is equal to 2. So 1 is equal to 3x. So x is a third. So that is the x-intercept. And I think one should make sure the graph is labeled according to the equation, and that should look, that's actually fine. And the axes are labeled. And then from the graph, it's pretty clear the only value of y that's avoided is y equals 3. And so now here, here it looks like a mistake. Y is not a third. Okay, because see what happens if y is a third plus 2 over x minus 1. Oh, sorry, you don't really have to even write this, because y is at some point 1, it's at some point 0, and if it continuously goes through there, it's going to reach a third. Well, you can see this directly here, so a third equals that times by 3 is 9 plus 6 over x is 1. Minus 8 times x minus 1 equals 6. 2 equals 8x. You know, there's a solution to this for x, so definitely y does equal a third. Yeah, so then it's all the real numbers y, and y is not equal to 3. Okay. And yeah, because the basic graph is y equals 1 over x, you know, x is also equal to 1 over y. So there's like, you know, there's the missing value 0 for that case, and there's one missing value 0 for y as well. When you shift it, there's still only going to be one missing value. Okay.